China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They're not bad folks, but guess what? They're not competition for us.
Really? Former Vice President 2020 Democratic frontrunner Joe Biden facing bipartisan criticism after he dismissed China as an economic and military threat, including from President Trump.
I view everybody as competition. China, right now, we lose $500 billion. But for somebody to be so naive and say that China's not a problem, if Biden actually said that, that's a very dumb statement.
I can't agree more. Here to break down Joe Biden's foreign policy record is former Assistant Secretary of State under President George W. Bush, Robert Charles. Robert, is Biden right or wrong?
Well, obviously he's wrong. You know, on a personal level, he's a very friendly guy, but he's empirically has poor judgment, particularly on foreign policy, and the examples are numerous. I mean, interestingly, Robert Gates, in his book, who criticizes almost nobody, two-time Secretary of Defense and head of the CIA, noted that, and I think I'm quoting, that Joe Biden has been wrong on every major foreign policy and national security issue for the last 4 decades. And if you go back in time, this is a guy who wanted to divide up Iraq. This is a guy who opposed the bin Laden raid. This is a guy who was in favor of the phony Iran deal and sending cash to them. Back to 1979, this is a guy who celebrated the Ayatollahs coming to power because he thought that was going to bring human rights. This is a guy that opposed the defense buildup of Ronald Reagan. He opposed the B-1. He opposed the B-2 that brought down, really, you know, that policy direction brought down the Soviet Union. He opposed the MX missiles. And then if you get to China, just think for a minute on what he just said about China. China is truly our #1 potential adversary and our #1 competitor in the world, the #2 economy in the world. This is a country that right now kills about 13 million children through infanticide or abortion a year on their one-child policy. They have about 1 million peaceful Muslims in prison camps up in the Northwest for re-education as good communists. They execute about 2,400 of their people annually, a lot of them for dissonance.
And Robert, let's add this. They're spying on us every day, even with their college students. They're building islands. They promise not to put military hardware there. It's there. They're in our hemisphere, and now we're a couple of days away from a historic, we think, trade deal announcement. For you not to admit that they're a foe, it's incredibly beyond naive.
Well, beyond naive. I mean, let's be straight about it. They have these islands in the South China Sea that they've built for disruption of international trade. They're pushing the limits on supercomputing to hack us. They have space weapons that they've tested. Robert, so bottom line is, let's hope that we can get a good deal, and I think Trump's doing the right thing, but let's not be naive.
Absolutely. I was stunned by that statement. Let's see if his 21 other competitors bring it up on the Democratic side. Robert Charles, great job.